Uh, okay, attendees on mute as always, but you can communicate with us through the chat feature of WebEx. If you're signed in through your computer, there's a toolbar that becomes visible at the top center of your screen when you put your cursor there. On the bar, you'll see the icon to the right. You can meet with us privately or publicly through it using the drop-down menu for either. This is how you should also submit questions for the speakers to us, which we will take at the end of all their presentations. If via your telephone only, you can email questions to me at pat@courtneystrong.com. Do our best to get in as many questions as possible. So things can happen during a webinar, so if you get disconnected for any reason, just log back in. If you have audio or visual issues on our end, feel free to use the chat box or email me to let us know what you're experiencing. Any reason, use a computer connection, just dial in by phone with the number provided in your confirmation email. There's a questionnaire at the end of the webinar. Please take a moment to answer it. It will really help us. And to the most popular question we usually receive, yes, we will send slides in a follow-up email after the webinar by next week, if not this week. Now I'll begin our program by introducing our speakers. From Robin Reynolds. She's a coordinator for the Capital Region under the Clean Energy Communities Program, and she's been working on sustainability and climate action in the region and statewide for the past several years. Through her current position, Robin encourages local and regional adoption of energy efficiency and clean energy technologies and policymaking. Robin has worked in the private sector as a sustainability planner and assisted municipalities with renewable energy implementation and sustainable development. Robin has a BA in International Relations and Environmental Studies from SUNY Geneseo and a Master's in Regional Planning from the University of Albany. The speaker will be Barbara Freeman of Boonville, New York. Barbara taught children in the public schools for more than 30 years. She has been active in environmental action and founded the Boonville Environmental Conservation Council in 1971. In 1974, she was appointed to the Oneida County Environmental Management Council. In 1988, she was appointed by the Oneida County Legislature to serve as a board member of the Oneida-Herkimer Solid Waste Management Authority, serving as vice chair in 1991, from 1992 to 95, and she continues to be on the board. Following Barbara will be Amanda Laval, who heads the El County Department of the Environment. The department is charged with coordinating a wide range of environmental and sustainability initiatives across county government, spanning open space planning, natural resource management, stormwater, energy conservation, and renewable energy deployment. County was the first designated NYSERDA clean energy community in New York State and is a bond-certified New York State DEC Climate Smart community. Amanda will be followed by Meg Lefebvre. She is a progressive community leader in Plattsburgh and strong advocate for efficient municipal operations and sustainable energy programs. She serves as counselor and deputy supervisor in the town of Plattsburgh. She's the communications manager and recruiter for Courier Staffing, and she's a freelance business journalist specializing in manufacturing, healthcare, banking, and small business throughout the greater North Country region. The final speaker will be Ryan Gregoire, who currently serves as the assistant to the county manager in Schenectady County, New York, a career he began as an intern during graduate school. In capacity, Ryan is responsible for assisting in the overall administration, development, and implementation of programs, delivering the highest level of customer satisfaction to Schenectady County residents. Ryan also serves as the county's Climate Smart Communities Coordinator. Well, welcome to our speakers. We're so happy to have you. There's everybody. All right, I'm going to give this over to Robin Reynolds at this point.
Everyone, thanks for tuning into our webinar.
we're going to restart because we thought we had taken care of the audio portion, but we apparently hit the wrong button. Over to you.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. We're here at the Capital District Regional Planning Commission trying to educate everyone on the line this morning about the Clean Energy Communities Program and provide some real-world examples from our panelists on, how they've experienced benefits and opportunities through the Clean Energy Communities Program. So if you haven't been with us on our previous webinars, we would like to show you a map of our Eastern Upstate Territory here on the screen. We have partners in the... Oh, yeah?
Getting an echo. So why don't we do what we did last time? You just
Sure.
come up here.
Yep, absolutely.
Sorry about this, folks. And then just go down.
Great. So hopefully that slight tech issue has been fixed, but thanks for being with us again this morning. So here on the screen is our Eastern Upstate Territory. With great partners that we work with on this program, including the Adirondack North Country Association, the Mohawk Valley Economic Development District, and the Hudson Valley Regional Council in the Mid-Hudson region. If you aren't working with your Clean Energy Coordinator yet, we very much encourage you to reach out. So the gist of the Clean Energy Communities Program is that it's an open enrollment program that provides rewards and recognition for communities that demonstrate clean energy leadership. Once a community completes 4 of 10 high-impact actions, are eligible to apply for up to $250,000 worth of funding with no local cost share.
So sorry, I'm just trying to make things better for you here. I'm just making it more difficult.
Great. We really do feel like this is a program for all communities. Technical assistance is available, no cost from those local coordinators. The impact actions represent options which reduce energy consumption and increase local economic development for local communities. Each region did have funding for 18 projects. The project funding is shown in that little table down at the bottom. There was money available at those levels at the beginning of the program. There may or may not be that money's left depending on your region, so I highly encourage you after this webinar to check out the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program website to make sure that you know how much money is available, and if your community is a large community or a small community, what funding will be available for your community. The best thing of this program, potentially, other than the technical assistance and everyone who is here to help you get your community in line to take advantage of this funding, is that there's no local cost share, and there's also up to 25% of the advance available for project funding. So it's a really innovative program, and there's a lot of resources available for your community to take advantage of. These are the 10 high-impact actions. They represent a number of different options that your community has to move forward. Today we're focusing on municipal stories that do revolve around things like clean energy upgrades, which you see highlighted here on the screen. But the 10 high-impact actions do represent a number of choices that your community has in terms of moving forward, and we do feel that each of these 10 high-impact actions is good in and of itself because they represent best practices from across the state. So a standalone effort, if your community is undertaking any of these actions, it's just, as many communities that we've worked with have said, it's just the right thing to do. So the first impact action is benchmarking. This is a policy that would help your municipality to report annual energy usage from buildings using this innovative EPA portfolio manager tool. Upgrades would require your community to achieve a 10% emissions reduction from efficiency upgrades and also from renewable energy. Streetlights would require the municipality to convert at least half of Cobra Head style street lighting to LEDs. Would require your community to either install alternative fuel infrastructure like a charging station or to procure an alternative fuel vehicle. A solar campaign would require your community to one of these solarized campaigns, which is kind of a volunteer-led effort to do a group purchasing effort with a local solar installer and to get at least 10 people in your community to sign up for solar. Unified Solar Permit is a streamlined permitting process for rooftop and ground mount solar installations. So your community would need to adopt and use this unified solar permit. And code enforcement training is a great free training that NYSERDA provides through very qualified contractors, where folks come out to your community, meet with your code enforcement officer, and walk them through the specifics of the energy code based off real live projects. So this includes plan reviews and also site inspections, and help code enforcement officials be able to, do their jobs and inspect buildings based off the New York State Energy Code. Climate Community Certification describes a program that is run by the DEC Office of Climate Change, where folks can, complete actions and get certain points and be recognized as a leader across the state for being, a climate smart and efficient community. Choice aggregation describes a program that a municipality can undertake where they can all of their electric and gas supply and choose an alternate supplier other than the default utility within your community. And Energize New York Finance describes a program that a local government would undertake by passing a local law and allowing commercial property owners to make certain investments on their properties based off of the assessed value of that property. So there's a lot of technical assistance available, as I mentioned at the beginning of my brief presentation. There's locally based clean energy coordinators in all areas of the state, and they are here to really help your community move forward with this Clean Energy Communities program. There's also toolkits available for each high impact action available on the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities website, a really robust way for your community to take advantage of the available templates and different tools that NYSERDA offers through this program. There's a lot of information on the NYSERDA website. And there's also additional funding or financing options for implementation of some of the high impact actions. And this is where locally based clean energy coordinators can come in handy to help you access some of those resources. The projects, once your community gets to the end of the line and completes its fourth impact action, hopefully before then you've thought of what you might want to spend that money on. So the project criteria, and apologies for all the words on the screen right now, but the project criteria is pretty open, but the projects do need to kind of outline a thorough and sound and detailed approach. They need to have a positive direct impact on greenhouse gas emissions. They need to show some form of collaboration with other municipalities or a means to transfer that knowledge to the broader region in the state. It would be great if your project shows that it's innovative and replicable. And lastly, if your project does have some kind of way to leverage public and private dollars or generate economic development benefits, that's definitely important too. So we've seen a lot of communities kind of take funding they may have already had or try to come up with a way to do a cost share. It's not necessary, but that definitely gets extra points. So our communities that we work with are engaged with both the Clean Energy Communities Program and the Climate Smart Communities Program. It's important to acknowledge that these programs are related and they also dovetail with each other. So Climate Smart Communities can engage the Clean Energy Communities Program and get credit for doing so through the Climate Smart Community Certification Program. So these two programs really do work well together, and we do work with a number of climate smart communities who are pursuing the Clean Energy Communities Program, vice versa. So it's great that the state is showing so much support for these programs, and we're happy to be able to work the Clean Energy Communities Program and support climate smart communities efforts as well. If you're interested in getting more information, please do visit the Clean Energy Communities Program website. There's a wealth of information on that website. There's also great information contained in the program guidance documents. Your Clean Energy coordinators can help you understand the requirements of the program that are in those guidance documents if you need a little help. Certainly, we do hope that you connect with your regional Clean Energy coordinator. Thank you much for entertaining my brief presentation, and I look forward to hearing from all the panelists today to kind of show what communities are doing within the program, and I think there's a lot of great local examples out there. So, keep up the good work, everyone, and we hope to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Robin. All right. Over to our next speaker, and I just want to make sure we have Barbara's camera on.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. Okay, we have your web camera on.
I'm not getting the sound through my computer, so I'm just going to use my telephone. Should I start on?
Absolutely.
Well, good morning, everyone. Our success is about collaboration and teamwork. Boonville designated a clean energy community April 27, 2017. I'd like to emphasize the importance of knowing all the players. That's what that collaboration is about. The residents on the Environmental Council, officials, and actual village workers, involving them in the decision-making progress, info, and mutual respect. A full background. The village of Boonville is in the northeastern corner of Oneida County with a population about 2,000 in the 2000 census. 958 taxable properties with at least 51.02%, 0.02 low moderate income. Median income for Oneida County is about $49,000. Median income for the village is $29,000. In 1971, I started a private environmental council, which became in June of 1972 an official environmental council advisory to the village and town, and in the town in 1979. The village became a climate-smart community March 10, 2014. That's how we heard about the possibility, clean energy, community designation. Next. Next, please. This is Eric McIntyre, who's been very supportive, standing in front of our village and town office building. We got wonderful TV coverage on the celebration of our clean energy community designation. Actually captured our solar array from their video. We had a wonderful celebration. We invited the news, we invited the community, and we honored everybody that had worked on the team. Next, please. If you want to, listeners want to connect with the village by internet, our site is village.boonville.ny.us/content. Here, actually, some of them worked on the team, and all of them passed the legislation that we needed. Next, please. Boonville had a very proactive municipal water and light commission, responsible for the 3 sets of solar already in the village, municipal office, senior housing, and the high school. They instituted monetary rebates for new energy-efficient appliances, and other things were numerous to mention. So Boonville's been proactive in energy for a long time. In fact, the Municipal Commission, the ones that got the Clean Fleets action. They had already replaced our street lights with sodium vapor, much energy efficient than past lights. With fairly new embodied energy, we decided not to convert to LED, but gradually replace with LED. Then, street lights were not going to be one of our high-impact actions. So I'll just stop here a minute and talk a little bit about the process. We joined together in looking at the 10 impact actions provided by NYSERDA were very helpful. Dan Sullivan, in charge of the CEC for the Mohawk Valley, explained the details of the 10 choices. Members of the Environmental Council and village officials gave him a history of what had been done in each of those 10 fields ready. Several times, and after meeting several times, we chose 5 actions. We wanted to be sure to be timely, so we worked on 5 concurrently, realizing that the 4th one that was done, we would then submit and ask for the designation and continue to work on the 5th. The ones that we deemed were easiest and most helpful. This involved discussion with Mayor David Leffingwell and was the past mayor. We changed mayors in the middle of this project, and they both supported it, and other local officials and residents. We got good advice from Dan Sullivan and Greg Mumby, practical, technical, and assistance. When we explained the Clean Energy program in detail to the mayor and the village board, they were unanimous in approving our goals and passing what I call required legislation, for lack of a better word, such as unified solar permit. That after Codes Officer Adrian Grenier and I looked over the existing solar requirements, comparing them to the unified permit. He felt doable and was willing to put in place the required online elements of it. I can't emphasize enough. You can't just agree to something without the very people responsible for the work being able to do it. Next, please. This is the retired superintendent of the Municipal Water and Light, Ken Stabb. The real things he's done in the last 20 or 30 years on energy, too numerous to mention. But this was part of our celebration. Everybody that worked on the team got a certificate, newspaper recognition, and, of course, the TV coverage that I saw was shown 3 times. Next, please. To our roadmap. You see this roadmap was designed by Greg Mumby, Clint Associates, LLC, was also one of the NYSERDA-provided helpers for us. This is our roadmap plan for benchmarking. The thing about it is, and each one of the others that follow, is it's broken down into its individual elements. I had groups before where the work is divided up. People volunteer, people take notes, and it doesn't happen. The map was different, and it kept us on track. Now we have the individuals listed for who is responsible for it, but a date. And that really helped us a lot. Next, please. Codesman training, which a lot of us went to the meeting, including the mayor. I have to say I also kept us on track. When it came time to have a result, I emailed or called the individual. Say, are you coming? We're for that by such and such a date. Do you need any help? That contributed to our success as well. Next, please. We met several times to divide our work and prioritize action, and in all it was 15 people, although a central core of 6 or so really did the bulk of the work, along with the help from our municipal government passing things and agreeing. We submitted the clean fleets early on. It was a challenge getting my documentation submitted. Ken Stabb got me a documentation by email. I had to submit it. I finally discovered using Google Chrome allowed uploading. My default home browser did not. After that, we said, no, okay. I'm going to look at the energy code training, but that's okay. Maybe on the screen before, but we all, yes, I remember saying we all participated, and we followed up too. Next, please. Both energy code training and the unified solar permit are both codes areas for us. And this is Adrian Grenier, our zoning and codes enforcement officer, who couldn't have been more helpful. He was knowledgeable, and he was ready to do what was needed. Each time at a planning meeting, I thanked Adrian, the guy on the wastewater treatment plant, which meant supervisor and the workers, and Lisa, the treasurer, for attending planning meetings because it took out of their regular work day, you know. They said, no problem. It's for, and we all will benefit. It was same for everything that we did, and I think that's a plus. Next, please. I think what also was very motivating for everybody was that early on, we knew that the water treatment plant was going to be a focus for us, and in particular, all felt the wastewater treatment plant blower motors were the most needed. Mayor, well, the then mayor, suggested it first and went into it. Those blower motors met the approximate cost of $100,000. Energy savings truly needed by the village. Next, please. So I can't see the slides anymore. What happened?
Barbara, it's your screen probably went to sleep. Lost your audio. We'll get it back. Barb, we lost audio.
I lost my screen. It inadvertently,
Yes.
my button. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go back up to, we made several trips to the wastewater treatment plant to be sure this was the project we wanted. This last trip with the mayor and Ben Berger, who was a worker who was so knowledgeable and helpful, and the information he gave us at some of our planning meetings was instrumental in how we structured things. You don't count anybody out, and you plan on everybody being valuable for the team. Please. Next, please. So they don't look so bad when you look at them. Next, please. This is just a couple of shots of the blower motors. They're so critical to us. And again, more, please. See the date stamp, 1972. I can't believe these were so old when the mayor told me, and still operating but needing repairs. And of course, the new ones are far more energy efficient as well. But this project, because we know it was so necessary, we knew that we're an economically challenged village, and we needed the money to do it. We knew that repairs were going to be gradually increasing as well. Next, please. So motivated everybody to work on it. The code officer, the municipal employees of water and electricity, and the village treasurer, just all of us were motivated. It was to emphasize the age and the 24/7 of these blowers purchased in 1972. So what I'm saying is, choose a project early. Motivate your team to work hard. Next, please. These are the shots of us collaborating and working. Next, please. This, to me, is emblematic of our collaboration. There I am, the volunteer, talking to the worker that makes this stuff go every day, and the mayor, and planning out things. It's the way the project worked along. Next, please. I think the residents actually realize how important the sewage treatment plant is. The energy it uses, because it's the 5th highest energy user in our village. Or particularly, I think the blower motors themselves are the 5th highest, if I call that correctly. The environmental effects they might think about, but they don't think about the economic effects. Years ago, a Kraft cheese plant and several other industries wanted to locate in Boonville and have the capacity or the efficiency to accept them. So that's a big deal. Please. So this is a part of our team, a core, I would say. Rick Satterley represents the village board. He was helpful on the board. This is our villager, Lisa Kading. I've already talked about Ken from the retired municipal commission, me, Dan Sullivan, who is the CEC coordinator for the Mohawk Valley, and Greg Mumby, associate community planner for Climate Action Associates, and the one that made the roadmap for us, which I thought was extremely helpful. What I would say with this is thank you to Governor Cuomo and any other people who set this program up. The way I see it, it's win-win-win. Win for the environment with energy used, and that means less carbon in the air. In for the village, because we don't have the money, it's safe energy, and important for us, and of course, the importance of the wastewater treatment plant itself. And I think it's a win for New York State, because when all of us use less power, when we institute the things that we had to do in those high impact actions, at a grant to do something even higher impact, perhaps, New York avoids having to build added capacity to power. That's money, that saves time, and that saves a lot of community hassle on citing added capacity. So I'm pleased about the program. I'm pleased with the people that help us, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. That was so excellent. What we loved about it was how specific you were, and you told us exactly what you did to get things done. In the event that anyone has questions, though, I want to remind you all in the listening audience that you can use the chat feature of WebEx, which is up at the top, I believe to the right as you see it, to send us questions, and we'll get it to Barbara at the end. You could also email me if that's more convenient for you at courtneystrong.com. So our next speaker is Amanda Laval, coordinator of the Office of the Environment, Department of the Environment for Ulster County.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. And thanks so much for that presentation before from Barb. That's great. And I'm really pleased to join everyone this morning to present a little bit about a county perspective on our Clean Energy Communities program and our project development. And it's kind of an iterative process, and I think Barb was kind of talking about that also. And you'll see a bit of it from county side. Next slide. So I'm part of Ulster County government. I head the County Department of the Environment. We're here in the Hudson Valley. Ulster County has about 183,000 residents, about 12 employees in our workforce, an annual budget around $320 million. And we are really committed to environmentally responsible across our county government. The Department of the Environment is an important part of implementing that, and it was created in 2008, 2007, and we think it's an important link to think about environmental initiatives across county government and county functions. Next. Just about a year ago, where Ulster County received the first Clean Energy Community designation for New York State. We're also a bronze level climate smart community, which is, there's only, I think, 3 communities that have reached that level through the Climate Smart Communities program. And we're happy to be part of that group along with the City of Kingston, where the county seat is. The county government operations, we source all our power from renewable sources, and we are part of what the EPA's Green Power Partnership, which recognizes us for that action. And additionally, beyond using renewable energy for our power sources, we also offset all our carbon emissions through the purchase of carbon credits. That includes any kind of fuel we use for fleet vehicles, as well as the carbon emissions associated with employee commutes to get to and from their places of work. We're proud of the fact that not only are we carbon neutral, but we try very hard to make any of these environmental initiatives budget neutral through savings. So, important part of not only being environmentally responsible, but being fiscally responsible. Next. So we've heard about from the last 2 presenters the Clean Energy Communities program and these 10 high impact actions. Next. County, it's a little bit different because counties don't have the same land use controls as a municipality, that there are really 7 high impact actions that are available to a county in order to gain access to Clean Energy Communities program. So the permit, code enforcement training, and community choice aggregation are kind of taken off the menu of actions. Next. This certification, can you go one? For the we did focus on 4, which is the requirement of the program. We've really been working, like many communities, probably in a bunch of different areas, But the two I really wanted to highlight because they're so intertwined in thinking about project development are the benchmarking and clean fleets. Because this is where you're starting to think about your building energy use and your fleet energy use. Next. Right. I think Rod went through the scoring criteria from NYSERDA, their requirements for the clean energy community project development. This is after you get your designation. You know, they're looking for a sound approach. They're looking for your direct impact on energy use reduction and greenhouse gas emissions reduction. That's a big part of it, the biggest at 30 points. They're looking at projects that, you know, foster collaboration and transfer of knowledge, that are replicable and also leverage additional economic development. I think that's kind of, it's a tall order, especially to really soundly hit all of those categories. But as I started thinking about our project, that we might not be able to get all those, but we wanted to do as much as possible. So think about that process. There was really 4 steps for us. Start basics, reviewing existing baseline information, step looking at the organizational needs of the county government, and then step 4, kind of those bigger circle impacts. Next. So, okay, so we're going to start with the basics. Now you next again. So for this reduction program as just an elemental framework, and it's going back to the basics, but it's something that it's so important to keep in mind all the time, I think. Step 1 being avoiding and reducing your emissions. So if you don't need to use the energy in the first place, if you can figure out some way to either operationally or like engineering control not use it, that's great. That's less energy that you have to think about using more efficiently or offsetting with renewable generation. Step 2, energy efficiency. So if you have to use that energy, you know, is there a technology that's better, more energy efficient? Step 8, okay, now we have to use that energy and we're being as efficient as is practicable for us. Is there a way to use a renewable energy for that? Step 4, if we can't do an on-site renewable for that energy we have to use, can we offset it through like a renewable energy credit or a carbon credit to kind of to mitigate that energy use? And then step 5, are watching, monitoring, evaluating all the time those visual measures and our overall energy footprint. Next. So to put some examples to go along with that, we've done a right sizing of our operations and operational efficiencies. That's, for example, saved hundreds of thousands of kilowatt hours of electricity use a year. We're also employing a lot of LED, both interior and exterior lighting. That's big, hundreds of thousands, again, kilowatt hours of savings a year. We're also doing smaller things like water bottle filling stations instead of heated water coolers, and that's a way to improve energy efficiency. The county is progressing plans for county large-scale PPA to offset a good chunk of our electricity use. And again, I mentioned we do buy renewable energy credits and carbon credits, and we constantly monitor and track. Next. Okay. So with that in mind, the next step is to really get your hands into the data and to think about the impact of reduced energy and greenhouse gas emissions and knowing what's going on. Next. So for us, the first is the big picture. So in 2012, we had done a kind of more formal greenhouse gas inventory, and in the pie chart in the middle, you can see that we're about 43% of our greenhouse gas emissions has to do with the operation of our buildings, and 35% is our fleet. Those fluctuate quite a bit year to year, depending in a lot of ways on how much road is and how many capital projects we're doing around construction, but it's pretty proportions. Next.
Amanda, I think we lost your audio. Oh, very good.
Okay. So, digging in a little bit from that big picture, so thinking about our fleet. We have 400 plus vehicles. We do lots of different things. We have sedans, minibuses, trucks, minivans, heavy equipment. And so there's not just one type of maybe problem, so there's not one type of fix for our fleet when it comes to energy. Next. What was acted 2 years ago was a green fleet policy, and this is really important in that it's a process for us thinking about the fleet and making the fleet more efficient. To characterize, monitor, and improve our fleet, we're also stressing EV deployment and infrastructure. We have 9 charging stations currently. We have 6 more that are being installed right now. And we have battery electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles in the fleet and are doing more and more as we are really excited and realizing their benefits for our fleet. Next. And then part of the data side of it, which is, again, back to this, your hands into the data, also track very detailed which departments have how many pieces of equipment. That's the part on the left, as well as an annual report that breaks down by department, not just the number of vehicles, but the distance driven, the fuel, the cost, and the emissions by department, and then sums that up across our operations. A lot of data there. And this is a relatively short presentation, so not to jump to the punchline, but there's a red box around our sheriff's operation and our jail operation as far as being a bigger user. Next. So the other half of that equation from fleet is buildings. Again, a wide variety of services. We have buildings that date back to the 1600s and a variety of size. So not a single fix, but we have to think about things kind of as far as being a process. Next. I'm going to dig a little bit into the data because I think there's some interesting things to say. The tracking energy use, especially our bills for years at the county, but the clean energy communities benchmarking has kind of pushed us to doing it a little bit differently, and I think there's some interesting benefits to that. We have an energy audit from 2010 that comprehensively looks at our buildings, but this is a screenshot of one of the summary tables that we're now producing as part of the Clean Energy Communities program. We've been doing these buildings for years, and this is one chart that goes from our highest building user on the left to the small ones on the right. And as you can see, there's kind of a problem of scale in this slide, and that you can't really see the little guys because the big one is so big on the left, which happens again to be our law enforcement center. Next. Digging into that same data, but only looking at the buildings that use greater than 500,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year. Still the picture, our law enforcement center is head and shoulders above the rest of our building stock. Next. Next two charts are similar data, but a little bit different. It's directly taken from the benchmarking data that we're producing now under the Clean Energy Community. What we're looking at is not only total energy usage in BTUs for 10 buildings, steps are in the chart, but we're also, the data points with the line between them is intensity. So that's kBTU per square foot. So getting a sense of how demanding that building is, kind of the size of the building is being put into the equation. So you can see some of those spikes for smaller buildings, have drawn our attention. And even though it's not where we've gone with this project, we're looking at those and it's highlighting those for us again. Next. Very similar graphic, but this is just around electricity use. You can see a pretty consistent pattern as far as which buildings high users throughout our portfolio. Next. So here's another way now of combining the fleet and the buildings data. So we're able to kind of roll these up into energy use by a department. So you're getting the snapshot of the building stock plus the fleet to look at the total impact of the operation of that department. I think this is just another way of getting into it and really looking at what's going on. Next. All right, so the next step is, now that we have that framework and the energy data in our heads, we're thinking about, okay, what do we need organizationally? Next. We have a pretty capital improvement plan and a capital planning process so that we have many different needs, project needs that are identified in a plan. They're all not all of them are simultaneously funded, but they're in a book saying, hey, this is something that we need to do that has been identified as a project need for the government. On the rent side, again, not to get to the slide, but it's an example for new boilers at our law enforcement center that identified as a replacement need. Now, so through this process and our project development, we were able to really solidify those kind of hints and where we thought it was going, to say that, we really need to be looking at what we can do and how we can take our CEC money with our law enforcement center. This building was occupied in 2007. It's about 277,000 square feet. It is a law enforcement center, which means the gray portion of the building there is the correction side, so that there's about 300 inmates currently around that, and then about 28,000 square feet of that building are office space. The shot from portfolio manager of just the law enforcement center's energy use, the different fuels there. So 5 million kilowatt hours of electricity a year. We use propane for cooking. There's fuel oil that's used for heating and domestic hot water, as well as diesel for generators. And once you go inside the building there, it's again obvious to see how come, the equipment, when you see the scale of the equipment, then you understand even more so the energy demand of that building. In this picture alone, we have 3 boilers. There's the chiller room as well as the kitchen. There's also an incredible lighting demand in that building. So as we honed in on exactly what we wanted to do with our CEC project, solar, to integrate that into our boiler replacement. We've done some LED lighting, but we want to do more, especially on the correction side, including sensors. And we want to see about how to better integrate ease into the fleet. Is to think bigger and longer term. Although our $250,000 award is quite a prize, in a facility that size, it's something, how much it costs to do anything in that building. So next. So our vision is to take our kind of near-term conservation and efficiency, link to the capital plan. So take the money that was already kind of earmarked for the boiler and see how we can integrate that into the CEC grant. Then, you know, look at and also come up with a plan for the next, you know, dozen steps to increasing efficiency at that building. We see the fleet, the EV aspect of the fleet as integrating with like our school resource officers, and we're already thinking about how do we then install EV charging stations at schools, so those officers who are in the schools, who are driving from the law enforcement to the school, can charge at the school, which then puts another EV charging station out in the community and also increases the profile of EVs with a big part of the population. And then we're also thinking about how do we model this for other correctional facilities, because there are other buildings of similar size and scale throughout the state. Next. We're working on right now, just to sum it up, and this is a shot actually from our beautiful close former Town of Ulster landfill. Is currently having solar panels, a large solar install as we speak, and it will produce, it's a 9 megawatt system, and it's going to be offset about 50% of the law enforcement electricity. So we're looking to decrease that electricity load and install more solar, but this is part of our path forward. So thank you much for the time today.
I want to thank you. As you know, as a resident of Ulster County, that is one of my all-time favorite energy stories, the law enforcement center. So we're so looking forward to watching the county get its arms around this long-time issue there. Our next speaker is Deputy Supervisor of Plattsburgh, Meg Lefebvre. How are you today? Oh, we think Meg's still muted. Yeah, we can.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for having me here. Can I slide? So I'll be building an energy projects team, and this is my contact information as well as all the social media for our town of Plattsburgh. We have our Michael Ashton is a communications machine, and we have 2 public relations interns from Plattsburgh right now, so you can follow all the activity in our town on multiple social media platforms if you're interested in that. Next slide. I'll be talking about our progressive Plattsburgh, where we have a city of Plattsburgh and a town of Plattsburgh. I'm representing the town, and we encompass the city. We're about 3 times the size of the city, about 50 square miles. We have 12,000 residents. We call ourselves the Adirondack Coast because we're right on the foothills of the Adirondacks, but we're very close to Canada. Because we're in the middle of one of the busiest supply chain corridors in North America. So me here is driven by world-class industry, with dozens of companies having established their world headquarters here in Plattsburgh and Clinton County. Please. So I ran for town council because I wanted to be a decision maker in my community, and one of the goals set was to promote sustainable energy projects. Although I wasn't an expert and I wasn't really sure where to start, I began attending as many local talks, conferences, and educational seminars on the topic of solar energy as I could. And I led the Solar Eyes campaign at a presentation given by Anka, a clean energy coordinator at Plattsburgh. We engaged a lot of our departments. You see in this picture, they got right into it. Our planning department head actually is a solar expert for us. He lives off-grid, and he was just an invaluable member of our committee for this. Next. I certainly wasn't an expert and a town council person. You can't be an expert in everything that you have to deal with every day, but the most effective representative for your constituents if you can build relationships with people and the organizations that do have the expertise. So the FONCA Adirondack North Country Association were so crucial to our success. Their technical and administrative support helped us cross the finish line to achieve 4 action items and then to submit our grant proposal. And for us to do our Solarize campaign, we reached out to environmental lawyers, university professors, lifelong activists, and solar users to help launch and execute our campaign. And some of them were retired, and that was really helpful for us. They had a lot of time and a lot of experience that they were willing to do. And it's all about taking your campaign to the streets. Slide, please. Solarize campaign, we hosted about 13 events in various community settings throughout the Champlain Valley. We did 105 leads with 20 signed contracts for a total of 164 kilowatts. So that's about 21 residents with area actually now residential solar users. The end was a basically community education to educate our community about the benefits of solar and the kind of complications out of it, to let them know it was actually a pretty easy process. And bolstered business for 2 local solar contractors. Please. Something for me to be involved in this was really important to understand CERTA all around. And there's a mandate in place that 50% of New York State's electricity come from renewable energy by 2030. Knowing there's a goal and that we have the ability to take part in achieving that, for me and wanted me to be involved. And then the more I got to understand, I understood that this isn't just a mandate that was haphazardly put in place. The issue is also there to help communities meet that goal. You know, as a small town and villages, we don't often have the manpower and the technical expertise to tackle all these projects on our own. So again, that's where having relationships with and CDRPC is just crucial. And I this as a challenge from Governor Cuomo. It can be a challenging time to be in local government. We have to end the New York State tax cap. Not all economies are thriving in most of our small towns and villages, and we need to be forced to do more with less. But it's our responsibility to provide the best services for the lowest cost, but we'll lead our communities into the future in the most progressive and responsible ways. So look at these obstacles as a challenge for us to find new ways to be successful in our communities. I think the way to do this is we build our teams, we help raise the mission, and then sell the vision, because resources and incentives are there to taking. Elected official, I find it my responsibility to help them and organize the mission and sell the vision to get there. It's also important to understand that these incentives and grants are phasing out, so now's a really, really good time to jump on the boat. The incentives are so high right now for the renewable energy sector because it's such a new market. The goal is to taper off the incentives so the business of solar energy and other renewables becomes sustaining. So again, these aren't going to be around forever. Next. To Plattsburgh, once we realized that we had completed our campaign successfully, it would be pretty easy to bang out 3 more of the high-impact action items. So we did benchmarking. We had the help of our very dedicated finance manager to collect their data, and we passed the resolution to stay committed to the process for UM. We passed the unified solar permit, and we did the code enforcement training with our codes officers. And we had really great feedback. Last week, we attended the Clean Energy Economy Conference in Glens Falls. And the consultant, Mike DeWine from Leidos, who helped us with our energy code enforcement training, told us that the town of Plattsburgh is a leader in energy code enforcement. So that was really great feedback to have, and it justified the effort that we're we're putting into this. 2017, we had completed all of the actions and very proud to become a clean energy community, the first in Clinton County. Next slide, please. $1,000 is a lot of money, but not that much in government. As Amanda had said, we're giving her $250,000. So deliberating on things we could spend it on, we decided to pull in several departments, first to brainstorm ideas, and second, give our entire team ownership over the project. Our collaborative department heads, they really came together to prove this money could be put to a comprehensive way that makes our town stand out as a clean energy community. It was important to our supervisor, Michael Cashman, that we deliver this project to our community not as an impressive grant that requires no match, but as an additional opportunity about the positive impacts of sustainable energy projects across several platforms. Next. We decided we would use this money in 4 ways. Was to contribute to our water capital plan, which we're in the middle of a multi-million-dollar water infrastructure upgrade anyway. So we're using a portion of the money to purchase VFDs for our water plant. They're key elements to our water delivery system, and a place that we would have spent the money anyway. We wanted to prove to our clients and our taxpayers that we're being as responsible with all that we have and that is coming into our town in any way we can. So we're going to buy an electric car. We've built a green fleet, and this is going to give us a head start. And we'll be the first municipality in Clinton County to have an electric hybrid car on our fleet. The one is a smart growth plan. We're pursuing a smart growth plan to be centered on a corridor to identify available water, sewer, transportation, and economic development resources. And we're getting data from that study to identify the best areas suited for growth and density, as well as preservation and recreation. All of them to preserve our exceptional environment and plan for growth in the most sustainable ways. And again, this is one area where we would have spent money anyway. So we took this nice chunk of change to put towards it. The way is LED streetlights. We own 1,500 streetlights in the town of Plattsburgh, and rather than switching them all out in one shot, we're going to use a portion of this money to switch to LED in our 10 recreation parks. An incubator program kind of to educate our community and showcase this technology so we can get it about in other corners of the town in a more phased approach. So 7, I would say don't forget to have fun. You can kind of tell by the slides I've been using that we like to have a little bit of fun and make things playful. About it, local government has been largely stagnant in New York State for about the last 100 years, and to keep doing things the same old way. In part for me and my team at the town, really just having a really good time with all we're doing, helping to move town and our entire North Country region forward in progressive and sustainable ways. I think lastly, if you're an elected official on this call, I know programs can seem overwhelming with all of the day-to-day that we also have to do, but they really are doable. If you want to reach out to me at any point with questions or just a little bit of guidance, I'd be happy to help you anytime.
Thank you so much, Meg. That's great. Really appreciate it. And we do have some questions coming in, so we're going to try real hard to make time to address them. Over to you, Ryan Gregoire, in Schenectady County Government. You're off mute on my end, but we don't hear you. Oh, you did something there that looked like you were coming on. We still don't have you. Yeah, you're toggling things on and off. Try the phone. There you go.
Good.
Good.
Everyone. Good morning. My name is Ryan Gregoire. I'm the Assistant to County Manager here in Schenectady County. Before I begin, I just wanted to thank Pat and all of our other panelists for being on today's webinar. I really appreciate this opportunity to join everyone, and it's exciting to hear about all the work that my municipal partners are doing. Today, discussing county's efforts to expand our green footprint through an innovative intermunicipal shared services idea called the Municipal Lighting Fund.
Hey, Ryan, you have such a great webcam. Can you make sure it is on? Because it worked fine before. Just see it's on. It's on from my end.
It doesn't look like it's allowing me to turn it on, Pat.
Oh, okay. All right. So next slide, you said?
Yep. What do we get here? The legislature set a goal of achieving 100% renewable electricity by 2020 for the county municipal. This means that all of our electricity that the county government consumes will be generated through renewable clean energy resources. And that goal was set in October of 2017. From that, we took an aggressive push for climate smart community designation and designated a climate smart community in March 30th of 2017. Pushed on to clean energy community, the grant program, the municipal competition. And as Amanda had said earlier, there's 7 items that county governments can focus on. I know that Wyoming County has implemented some of the other initiatives. 4 that we submitted were solarize, energy benchmarking, smart community designation, and clean fleets. Currently working on LED lights. So CUP's legislative goal and the aggressive push through climate smart community designation and clean energy community grant program, they partnered with CDRPC, Associates, County Economic Development and Planning Department, and then office to really capture and put together a grant application. So what is the Municipal Lighting Fund? It is when you reduce energy consumption, you also reduce the need for more renewable energy. So it's a relationship that helps us to the clean energy goal that the legislature set faster. And the Municipal Lighting Fund is a shared capital venture between county, all of our towns, there's 5 towns, and the villages within the county. They provide a financial mechanism and incentive program for the municipalities to participate. First steps really that we've started to take and they are taking as part of this. The thing to inventory all of our municipal lights. And we decided at that time to both inventory our street lights and interior lights. The lighting fund focuses on interior lighting replacements, converting the older lights to more efficient LED technology. We're also going to be looking at expanding that to the street lights down the road. Right now we're in step 2, which is developing our guidelines and requirements for how municipalities are going to participate. So we've sent our application to NYSERDA for the Clean Energy Communities Program. We're with them, but concurrently we're developing what it's going to look like in order for us to our municipal partners in converting their lights over. We had was really wanted to take some money through the Clean Energy Community Program and engage, incentivize, build some momentum in other municipalities to kind of jump on this bandwagon that the county is endeavoring in.
And we lost your audio. Lost your audio. Ryan, we lost your audio. They'll be back. We had this issue before. All right, and folks, he knows that he can also call in. Hold on, folks, working on it. Right, if you can hear me, just call my cell phone, and we'll figure this out together. Yeah, while we're figuring out Ryan, we do have some questions from the audience, so that would be a great thing to do. I have 3 questions from the audience, so let me just get over there. That. Amanda, we have a question for you from Mancini. How difficult was it to initiate a county-based Department of the Environment in Ulster County? Was there a political will, or did elected officials need to be convinced?
This goes back to like 2007. Yes, there was only political will, and that's I think what initiated it. And looking for a different model of environmental services across county government. And I think one of the frameworks that got a lot of traction was recognizing that so many kind of, quote unquote, environmental issues are cross-cutting, especially when you look at kind of the traditional county departments, the health department, the public works department, those types of boundaries that are very long-standing, and that issues like whether it's stormwater or energy conservation cut across those departments. Having an environmental department whose charge is to coordinate across those departments really makes kind of the inherited structure of a county government to the reality of our environmental issues. That might be a way to cast it to get folks on board.
Right, terrific. Hey, Ryan, thank you so much, Amanda. That's great. I remember when you were first going through that process. It looks like Ryan back.
Thanks, Pat. I apologize, everyone. Hope you all hear me now.
Yes.
What I'll do is I'll go back to the Municipal Lighting Fund and kind of just speak through this process. And really the goal is that we looked at was by reducing energy consumption, you also reduce the need for renewable energy, which gets us to our goal a lot quicker than if we were to just fit one side of the equation. So the Municipal Lighting Fund is a shared capital venture between the county, all towns, the city, and the villages within Schenectady County. And there's 5 towns, 1 city, and 2 villages. Currently, we have one of our towns is designated a clean energy community, and that's the town of Niskayuna. And our city, the city of Schenectady, is working on that process as well right now. And what this program is it would really provide a financial mechanism and incentive program for our municipalities to also participate in this endeavor. And that's what we really wanted to focus on, was how do we engage and get other people excited about pushing forward and doing this. So there was really 4 steps that's part of this process that I wanted to expand upon. The first step being really the need is to inventory all of the municipal lights, and we inventoried both the street lights and the interior lights. It kind of back to what Amanda was talking about earlier about you have to analyze and understand the data before you can push ahead. So that was step 1. And from there, we submitted our grant application to NYSERDA for Municipal Lighting Fund, and we partnered with, again, CDRPC and Climate Associates to help us put that together. And right now we're in the process of step 2, which is developing guidelines and requirements for our municipalities to be able to participate with us, and what that's going to look like. It would be to utilize expertise and develop the most efficient lighting replacement model. So each municipal building, depending on their age, how the structure was built, different types of lighting options, and you really need to engage with an electrical engineer or with some expert to understand what most efficient lighting should be for your particular buildings. And each one will be a little bit different. So that's what we're also in the process of doing now. And then step 4, of course, would be to implement the plan, the vouchers and reimbursement process, and really engage with the municipalities and within our own internal county team to go ahead and convert the lights. Fully implemented, we have approximated that we'll be able to convert 25% of our interior lights, which is roughly 4,500 of 18,000, and that should save about $54,500 a year across the municipalities. And of course, county is continuing to pursue other grant opportunities to enable us to kind of push that number even higher. I'd be happy to take any questions that anyone has on this, on the Municipal Lighting Fund or other projects the county is working on. And certainly, we're all here to help anyone else out.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Ryan. And, sorry for the technical glitch there, but it all worked out. So I'm going to unmute Barbara, Meg, and Meg, and then I think Amanda has to unmute herself. We do have a couple more questions here. So from Ram Srivastana, Ram, this would be a great question for a webinar in and of itself. I think he's directing this to Amanda. Ram is wondering what are the strategies under consideration for achieving resiliency to deal with grid power failure, energy storage, and on-site power generation options? It's a good question. You want to?
Yes, it's a big question, and I think that we've looked at not real in-depth analysis, but so we think like the location of our buildings is particularly well suited to that. So it doesn't just kind of be like this is a no-brainer for some kind of assuming he's pointing towards like a microgrid, but I mean more. It would be a great topic for a webinar. That would be to explore more depth. I
agree. And from our friend Amanda Mazzoni in Syracuse, ever the practical thinker, Amanda's wondering, have all the projects noted by the speakers been approved by NYSERDA already? So let's take a quick round run there. So Amanda Laval?
Yes, and we're still going back and forth on the contract.
Barman, approved by...
We received any notification.
Okay, Meg Lefebvre?
Yeah, obviously, our action items have been approved because we earned the designation through that, but our grant projects have been submitted, and we're still waiting to hear.
Right. And Ryan.
Again, same as Meg here. We've, our 4 action items have been approved. We have the designation, and we've submitted our application, and we're just working through the process with NYSERDA.
Great. Okay, thank you. I'm here, of course, with the team at CDRPC, and some of the questions we had were pretty basic, but no less important and possibly of interest to our listeners. We'd like to know, if you all go round robin on the biggest challenge that you dealt with in working on your clean energy projects. Let's go in reverse order. Ryan.
I think for me, we was fortunate to have some expertise. I think one of my colleagues, Jeff Edwards, is in this webinar, who's really an expert in the field. But it really comes from, you have to have strong leadership from the top. So the county manager and the county legislature were, very receptive of pushing this forward, and that's what helped me to work with Jeff, and then of course Robin to kind of push across the finish line. So I think the greatest challenge for me is I don't have a lot of patience. So just continue to plug away, chip away at the action items. To obtain a climate smart community designation takes a lot of time, a lot of documents. New York State DEC was very helpful. There's a woman there by the name of Dazzle for our region who was fantastic to work with. So that certainly helped.
And Meg?
For me, say, and that just that the expertise, not in-house expertise, but having the was absolutely helpful. Another one of our challenges was, like I said, we had all of our department heads on board. Everyone was excited about it, but when it came to adopting the unified solar permit, our codes and zoning officials had actually adopted, our entire town had adopted a local solar permit, and they were not excited to stray away from what we had in favor of what the state had. So it took some real soul massaging and some strategy there to get them on board and fully invested. And the fact that there was a no catch $2,500 incentive was very cool.
And in the biggest challenge, Barbara?
The biggest challenge was figuring out how much energy the new blower motors were actually going to save. With the vendor would be a big help once we settled on a vendor and an appropriate thing. But I don't think he understood the question. He sent us several sets of data. He knew what the blowers were, the original 1972 blowers. But in the end, it took a lot of work from Greg Mumby from Climate Associates to with the vendor and actually help us. We wrote all of the grant application except the details on the energy savings, which we're not technically able to do. So that part was the biggest struggle for us.
And over to you again, Amanda.
So as far as the designation itself wasn't, I would say, too challenging. I think we were fortunate, and we were also well kind of queued up for that, just because of what we've been pushing forward with here. As far as the project development, I have to say that the Law Enforcement Center is such a large and kind of technically complex operation. Knowing enough about what was there to even test an intervention to improve efficiency or to use renewables, kind of it's like an engineering study to get that far. So how are we going to do that? So just figuring out how to write that into the actual project proposal, I think, was the most difficult nut so far to crack.
Right. We had an awful lot of communities on the call. So what advice would you give to communities just getting started Meg. Oh, I think went offline possibly.
Back. My response is, I've already said this a few times, but just to really take advantage of the clean energy coordinators in your region. They're there to help, and they have the expertise. They've done this before. They know a lot of the answers to the questions that you're going to ask, and they're there to help.
And Barbara?
I guess advice would be to get all of the players together at the beginning, explain the potential and opportunity, get buy-in from them on the thrust where you're going and how we can do it. That'll be the first part of it. For me, that was be the most important, because you get that buy-in and understanding and enthusiasm, then move on to the work elements of it. For the work elements and the technical stuff, you can't do without, we could not have done it without Dan Sullivan and Greg Mumby, that provided by NYSERDA.
Right, sure. All right, we have time for, probably just one more question here. I'd like to hear from each of you, what was your proudest moment? And I know Robin would too. Since you're
are you talking to me?
Sure. Now I am. Yep, sure.
I couldn't tell on that. Your voice is soft on this, Pat. I have to say, it was when Boonville, all of that recognition, I actually told them about our celebration, WKTV, and I met the guy at the transfer site in Utica, by the way, and said to him, "Can you uncover this?" And he said, "You don't do enough Boonville stuff." And everybody in the village got to see it and feel proud, and it was good coverage. The reporter, the guy, the cameraman got great shots, and the reporter got it right, which is doesn't always happen. And I felt everybody in the village who saw that felt like, which means that they will be readier to do more things in the future. That was a good feeling for me and them.
Absolutely. How about you, Meg? Oh, you're on mute still.
Personally, having set a goal to promote sustainable energy projects in our town, to be able to have achieved a small part of that goal, and met a lot of really smart, wonderful people along the way that are invested in this for the future of our state. And then another moment was all of our department heads really excited about this. All sitting around the table at planning meeting, one it wasn't even a clean energy communities related meeting, but our water department there and our planning department and our codes and zoning, and we got to talking about the potential for this grant, and just having all of them share their ideas for what we could use this money for, and taking really interest and potential ownership in the project was a really proud moment.
I can imagine, yeah.
I think that, it's root of a lot of kind of groundwork and a lot of legwork, and that also be my kind of non-press related to other communities, is that taking in and spending the time and getting to know your kind of your use data, it can be really complicated, and you'll want to pull your hair out a lot, will provide you benefits in so many different ways, and that you're ready for different grant opportunities, or you can really characterize your operation and move forward. So kind of the process of seeing this, of doing that groundwork.
Oh, that's fantastic. And Brian, I'm sure we have sound on you, but can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I think for me, it was, just working together with a whole group of people to really push this forward. And I think when I was calling Robin almost every day saying, hey, we uploaded one of our clean energy, designation items into the portal, have they received it? And just getting that feedback and reassurance, support from everybody within the county and our external partners was pretty exciting to kind of push this forward.
That's terrific. Well, it's about at noon, so thank you all for coming to this webinar from the team at Capital District Regional Planning Commission. We really appreciate your interest and enthusiasm for these events, and we'll keep inviting you to them. Thank you to all our speakers especially. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you.